Friends, just hours after we heard that the ATACMS, the U.S. missiles, were used against Russian targets inside Russia, we now have reports that UK, United Kingdom, Storm Shadow missiles were used against a bunker inside Russia, attacking a command center. About a dozen of them were used. This is a major escalation, and while we've been told all along that Russia would not escalate things, that Russia would not respond, that this would just be something we can do, it's not a big deal. Now we have U.S. embassies and other NATO embassies emptying out their personnel, ambassadors taking cover in Kiev, because apparently suddenly it is a big deal. We need to talk about this, friends, because we're on the brink of World War III. Let's jump into it. Welcome to the Poplar Report. I'm Steve Poplar. I'm an accountant by trade, and we're covering the things that the mainstream media will not cover, that they will not say. We've been told for months and months and months that U.S. missiles, NATO missiles used against Russia, not a big deal. Yeah. Russia's saying stuff, but they don't really mean any of that. They really wouldn't risk war with the United States. They would never attack an embassy inside Kiev. And yet, why are all the embassies in Kiev now suddenly empty? Because they have credible threats, a credible intelligence that there is a massive air attack on the way. All right, so we have the Storm Shadow, UK's Storm Shadow cruise missile. That comes in low. Apparently, these were equipped with bunker-busting warheads, and this was used to attack a command bunker. About 12 of them were used on one target. There's people out there saying that basically that there were a lot of collateral damage. Russia has been out there claiming that they shot down pretty much all of these missiles, which there's video out there showing that's not true. Russia is making that one up for sure. We also have the ATACMS, which are HIMARS-launched ballistic missiles made by the United States that come in high, and then they come in, and they used those just yesterday on targets inside Russia. So we have both the UK and the United States apparently now part of this war, according to what Russia has said, is what they will do. That they will treat this as that the NATO countries are now part of this war. And so one of the natural thoughts is where could Russia strike the UK and the United States and other allies? And one of the most obvious points is in their embassies in Kiev. Now we have reports out there that that Russia is preparing a massive attack, aerial attack, including the use of the RS-26s. Now these are large intercontinental ballistic missiles. Now if you fire them in such a way that you're not launching them from continent to continent, you can put a much larger warhead on them. And we're talking about a warhead of approximately 1.8 tons. A large 1.8 ton warhead. Now these things are not super accurate. They can usually hit within about 150 meters of their target, so it can't hit a specific building, but it can kind of hit, a certain district of the city. And that makes this not a precision-guided munition. It's not used for attacking buildings, but rather for attacking cities. This is going to be a major escalation if they use those things to start hitting population centers inside Ukraine. Now, honestly, what we're saying is that if they use conventional responses to population centers in Ukraine, that would be a relatively small step up in response to this. Some people have talked about them using potentially nuclear weapons. They have said that that is on the table, that they could use a tactical nuclear weapon to attack missile bases, that they could use them to attack military targets inside Ukraine if they use U.S. and NATO missiles against Russia proper. Now, apparently they were using that to try to get Ukraine not to do this, but Ukraine has stepped across the line, and now the question is what will Russia do in response? Now, like I said, we've been told, not a big deal, they're not going to really do anything, but now we see the very same people who were saying that they were not going to do anything, they're hiding in bunkers now. And this gets back to, once again, don't listen to what they say. Listen to what they do. Look at what they do, because that will tell you much more what we're really talking about here. Now, President Biden has apparently just approved the shipping of anti-personnel landmines, which is a big thing that the United States just has not done. Now, there are the landmine accords out there. I think they're the Ottawa Accords or something like that. The United States has refused to sign up, saying basically we won't use landmines anymore. We refuse to do that because for two reasons. One is because we use the claymores. The claymores are a shaped charge that you set up above the ground and then you remote detonate them, and that's kind of still technically falls under the landmine usage. And the United States uses those and will continue to use those, and we won't stop using them based on this treaty. But the other reason why the United States has refused to sign on that treaty is because we do use landmines in Korea. So in the DMZ, between South Korea and North Korea, we use landmines there. But generally speaking, the United States has agreed that we don't like landmines. We don't think they should be used indiscriminately. We don't think that they should be basically dropped all over the place and then hope that civilians don't get injured or killed because of them. But the United States has apparently just gone back on that, and we're going to start giving landmines to Ukraine. Anti-personnel landmines. Now, these landmines are supposed to be landmines that the batteries apparently die after a while, or they self-destruct. So supposedly these are non-persistent landmines, but they're still landmines. And what happens if it chooses not to self-destruct? What happens if if the battery lasts longer than you thought it would? And just the fact that you're sending these out. Ukraine has been doing this where they've been spreading landmines via rockets. So they've been depositing large numbers of landmines in places where they're not actually mapping them properly. So that is a huge problem there. They're just trying to survive. I get that. But the United States is basically taking its principles one by one and just tossing them out the window. The Biden administration is the one who actually said we're not going to export landmines, and we're also the Biden administration is also the one who said we're not going to use landmines indiscriminately anymore. The United States is going to basically use them in Korea, and that's it. We're going to use the claymores elsewhere, but we're only going to use the above ground claymores. We're not going to use underground or munitions spreading landmines. But why let a crisis go to waste, right? When you can use it to violate all of your principles. And so that's where we are with the way the election has gone. The Biden administration seems to be tripping over itself in order to start World War III and escalate things and to violate every single principle that the United States holds dear. I think most of us could agree that landmines are a horrific, horrible thing, and we probably shouldn't be involved with them if there's any other options. So, we got the U.S. Embassy in Kiev saying that they have specific information of a potentially significant air attack on today. Embassy employees are being instructed to shelter in place. Spain, Italy, and Greece also have emptied out their embassies due to the fact that they are concerned that there will be a significant air attack today on Kiev. Many of the people in the city of Kiev have already moved down into the subway systems. There's a lot of videos out there on X and Twitter basically showing a lot of folks in the city hiding down in the subway and underground in the bunkers in order to get away from the air attacks, which they believe are to be coming any time now. So we hear people saying, the government officials, U.S. government officials, that this is not a big deal, that you don't need to be concerned about this. We can just go ahead and do this and there won't be any consequences. Russia would not risk open war with the United States or NATO. And that now we see our embassy being emptied. We see all of our people hiding in bunkers in Kiev. Watch what they're doing. Don't just listen to what they're saying. So we have U.S. missiles being used. UK missiles being used. Next, we're going to have French missiles, German missiles used. I'm sure the Taurus will be in use shortly. Ukraine is motivated. The only way they can win this war, and this is not me saying this is basically everybody saying this. The only way that Ukraine can win this war is it can provoke Russia into a large enough attack on itself that it brings all the Western allies into on its side. They are motivated to conduct as much shock and awe attacks on Russia that they can in order to get Russia to hit back and hit back hard. And so, they don't want to get hit, but they realize that they need to take some kind of really bad hit so that the United States and NATO comes in on their side in this war. That's the only way they win. They either need to cause enough pain and chaos that they can negotiate at least a relatively beneficial or at least non-humiliating deal with Russia, but things do not look promising that way. Russia is winning a lot of the land battles, and it just seems like Russia is in the upper hand, right? Ukraine wants peace. Russia says it wants peace, but they seem to be winning. And when you're in that situation, you're not going to get good terms, right? I mean, you probably will get terms, but you aren't going to get good terms. And so Ukraine either wants good terms or it wants to bring in NATO allies on its side. And as an American, that means that they're trying to use our resources in order to drag us into a war. I think most Americans agree that we don't want to go into the war. We don't want to be part of a war. We don't want to be defending some other country against invaders when we have plenty to defend against here. We have significant problems here at home. Lots and lots of millions of invaders as it is. We don't need to be defending another country against invaders. We need to defend our country against invaders. And we don't need to be part of 6, 7 wars abroad with countries that are not our allies. This country is not an ally of the United States. It is a country that is taking from the United States. Now, hey, I know which side of this I am on, apparently, because our team is their team. And so I kind of hope that we can negotiate a settlement that is relatively beneficial for the United States. Hopefully that will keep us out of a war over the long term in that region. That's, I think, the primary United States interest in Ukraine is to settle that conflict in such a way that we don't have to go there, ever. That we don't have to be a part of that. We don't have to do anything there. If Ukraine is never allowed to join NATO, if Ukraine is never allowed to become a full ally of the United States, that's fine. Let's protect the people of Ukraine. Let's make sure that their borders are secure, and that get a good negotiation done with that and good deal. But not only are the Ukrainians motivated to start this war off hot, but we're also seeing a lot of U.S. officials seem to have the very same motivation. And that's really concerning. We have President Joe Biden, who's kind of out the door. He's a lame duck president. He is instigating, or his administration under him is instigating a massive upset here. Now, we have gotten confirmation. It was a deputy Defense Department guy actually confirmed that that President Biden did issue the authorization for ATACMS and other long-range U.S. munitions to be used against Russian targets. Of course, we've been told this whole time the reason why we need to authorize this is because there are missiles and artillery inside Russia firing into Ukraine. And it's totally unfair that Ukraine is not allowed to use our weapons to attack those artillery and missile batteries that are just over the border in Russia. So what do they use it for? Do they start taking out missile batteries? Do they start taking out artillery batteries right along the border? No, they take out a command and control center, basically attacking officers, Russian officers, potentially North Korean officers, inside Russia. Okay? And then the other thing that they do is they start attacking weapons depots inside Russia, deep inside Russia. So not exactly taking out the things that we were told is the whole reason why, they need to take out those missile batteries. And yet they're not taking out those missile batteries. And we knew all along that they weren't going to use it for that case. And yet that was the justification, just like so many other things. Everything that they tell us is not true. We just need to authorize this so they can take out the missile batteries. And yet, that's not what they're going to use it for. We should have been honest about it from the very get-go of what they were going to use this for. They're going to use this to start World War III. And that's what people were saying. People like me, people that you listen to, were saying they're going to use it to start World War III. And that's exactly what they're trying to do right now. And you wait. If this doesn't work, they're just going to escalate. They're going to start attacking civilian targets accidentally. They're going to start doing whatever it takes in order to get this to motivate into World War III. Friends, you need to be concerned. You need to be getting stocked up. You need to be getting prepared. Don't be afraid. Be prepared, right? And know what's going on. Be getting yourselves more prepared so that you can go off-grid in your home, or if you need to go somewhere else, that you can do that. But friends, take care of yourselves, take care of your families, and be praying for your country and for the world. All right, friends, if you want to check out another video from this channel, there's one right up here. I'll see you over there, or I'll see you guys later. Steve Poplar of the Poplar Report, out.